Okay. This is actually
for the third time.
Third time. This is the third take. Hopefully this goes more than 5 minutes. Last time was 3.5 minutes. Now then it's 5 minutes. I don't know. But we're gonna jump into the meat and potatoes of this. Okay? I got my other half with me this time. Hopefully this goes a little bit well. She does also have a YouTube channel. We'll send a link later on. Maybe you can see some of the stuff that she likes, shares, and all that other stuff. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, so we were doing the interwebs, and then we noticed there was a article. Baby, care to tell me the article?
Yes, it's on Mike.com, and it is, should we teach teens about sex ed in, no, that's not right. Completely fucked that up.
Just read it.
Should we teach teens about BDSM in sex ed?
Alright. So this is for Mike.com. Alright. Mike.com or MIC.com, however you want to be pronounced. I don't know what your pronouns are. We're actually practitioners in the kink lifestyle, okay? For me, actually both of us, we're switches, meaning we like both aspects of things. And I have no problem so long as an individual, and when I say this, I actually do mean this. No problem with somebody who is of a certain caliber and talent and holds himself to a certain degree to be a dominant for me. Same thing for a submissive, okay? Like, for her, I don't consider her beneath me or anything like that. To me, she is my equal. No, yeah. Now, mind you, yes. Because I got to face facts sooner or later, because if Isaiah sees this, I know he's going to fuck with me. Yes, she is my submissive, okay? However, she's not my submissive as far as she's beneath me. She allows me to do things with her because she acknowledges that I am worthy enough to do certain things with her, especially in the kink lifestyle. I have proven myself worthy of that. Okay? Now, most people sit back and think about that going, well, then wouldn't that make her the dominant? Not necessarily. We're both switches. There are times where we do switch roles.
And there's times where we're both submissives or in a pouty mood or a bottom, however you want to classify it. And it's rather fun, and it's kind of ridiculous at the same time, because if we're both in that kind of headspace for the day, then we're gonna pout about everything, nothing's going right, and we want popcorn and brownies and just watch movies and cuddle. Mm-hmm. And then there's other days when we're both headstrong people and tops or dominants, and there's days when I am the bottom and he is the top, and then there's times where he's the bottom and I'm the top. It just depends on the day and what our headspace is. Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest things about that is the fact that when we're having moments like that, we actually talk to each other, and it's actually part of the basis of a lot of what should be a lot of relationships is that communication between each other.
I know Allie's gonna love this. Communication is key.
The more you know. You notice I did not inject any SpongeBob nonsense in here. Because seriously, it's important. Oh my god.
No imagination.
No.
Never assume anything.
No. Because to us, communication is very important. Okay? Now, let me put a little disclaimer. We're not professionals at communicating. We're not. There are times where I've messed up. Especially when it comes to communicating things. Aye. It's true though.
And there's times where I fucked up too. I mean, work schedules get in the way. We get tired. We think that my problem is that I think that I've told him something, and in my mind, I remember saying it out loud, but I never actually did that. So there's been lots of times where I think that I've told him something, and then he's like, "No, you never said anything." So. And
for me, it's actually, I'll tell myself I need to tell her this. Never happens.
And then it doesn't.
At all. It's not even a matter of I thought I just said that. It's a matter of I didn't say it at all. I just told myself in my head, don't forget to tell her this. And then all of a sudden it's like, I just finished telling myself not to forget that. And I forgot. Yep, I squirreled. Or I've had times where I'll go to say something and she has no idea what I'm talking about. And I'll get a little frustrated, like, but it's this. But I forget that sometimes you have to say what you say in your head and then say it in different manners, so that way, no matter who you're talking to, you have another way of explaining it, so that way that person understands it.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's three parts of that people need to understand. Okay, there's, especially when it comes to the communication, there's sender, receiver, and message. Okay, the sender is the person that's sending the message. Okay, your responsibility is to make sure that that is easy to understand, clarifies exactly what you're trying to say, puts off the message that you need to say, and is easy enough for people to get it. Okay, the sender is very important, very, very important. For the message itself is just the same as what I just finished saying. It's got to be easy to understand. If I turn around and read off anything from Schrodinger and his teachings to her, yeah, that confusing. It's just like if there was things at her job she would say. And I know I'm guilty of this a lot, especially when I talk about work.
Oh, God. When I would try to explain things from my previous job to him, yeah, it was fun. It was kind of like talking to a blank wall. And I had to sit there and break it down piece by piece by piece. This means that. This is the word we use for this. And things like that. If anybody has ever been a server, you understand what being in the weeds is. Well, there's some people who don't understand what the weeds are. They're like, you went to the jungle? Like, you live in Louisiana? What are you talking about? It's like, no, like, I'm really busy. I don't have time to do anything for you. And I just got sat with 3 tables.
See, for me, I'm in the military. So when you're telling me you're in the weeds, I'm thinking you're in somebody's shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's all up in the weeds, meaning all up in somebody's business. That's, to me, is the weeds.
Same
saying.
Two different meanings, completely based on what you've done in life, your experience, and just things like that.
And honestly, that right there is what brings us also to the last part, which is the receiver. Okay, because she says in the weeds, if I receive it something differently, where my other responsibilities as a receiver is to me open my mouth and say, I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, good.
Go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
If you're the type that turns around when someone's talking to you and go, yeah, I get it.
But you really don't get it, you need to speak up and say something. Because if they're telling you something and they want you to listen, then it's obviously important. So if you don't understand something, just sit there and ask questions. Never assume anything. We had a conversation about this earlier about people assuming. And assuming is like the one worst thing you can ever do. If you ever have any questions, just ask them. No one's going to think anything of you. Nobody's going to like say anything because you asked a question. You're trying to better yourself as a human being, as a person. And you're trying to expand your knowledge on whatever topic y'all are talking about. So just sit there and ask questions. It's only going to be beneficial to you.
Yep. Now, how does all that equate to what we're talking about here with the article? Well, I kind of agree, and this is my stance on it. I'm not going to speak for her. She has her own opinion on it. As far as for me, I agree and disagree with what Mike.com is saying. I agree because there's a level of a communication that we have in the kink community that's way more in depth than regular people who don't dive into that lifestyle understand. We get the importance of understanding what a person's needs are or what they're trying to communicate, because there's a lot of stuff and a lot of risks that we take into consideration that can happen when it comes to, the kink community or just in BDSM. Like if you do lighthearted stuff where you do light slappy stuff and whatnot, probably not. Oh, you did not. Isaiah, no. We get what you're trying. We get that the fact that some things are just like that, probably not much of a risk. But then there are other different types of play that do pose a big risk. For my kinksters out there, you guys understand what I'm talking about when it comes to stuff like blood play, knife play, edge play. Okay, you guys understand what I'm talking about because there's a lot more risks involved. Okay, that's why honestly we practice safe, sane, and consensual. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay. Now, there's also such acronyms as RAC, PRIC, and there's a whole list of things. I'm not going to go through the whole list. If you guys want to know, hey, hit me up on my line and we can go over everything, okay? Excuse me, I had an itch in my eye. There's a whole list that we can go into, but the main basis that I really want to stress is the safe, sane, and consensual. Now, what we do in regards to safe, sane, and consensual, some of the stuff isn't really safe. Yes, we know that. We get it.
Neither
Okay?
is it always fully sane.
Exactly. Yes, because for everybody else, they're going to look at us going, where are you putting that ginger root?
Yeah. Bad idea.
I'm appalled. But the last part helps tie the other two together. It's the consent part.
And that's honestly the biggest part out of the whole 3. Because the consent is what makes it sane and safe.
Yep. If you guys just go to a corner guy and say, hey, I have a tumor in my brain. Can you operate on my brain? I'm pretty sure that's not a very sane or safe thing to do. And even if you get the consent from that guy, going, yeah, I can operate on your brain on you. Does that sound very intelligent? Does that sound very sane or safe? Probably not. The consent isn't just a yes or a no. The consent also have other things such as vetting, making sure you know that person knows what the heck they're doing.
Negotiations.
Okay? Negotiations. Which is funny because we talk about negotiations and how in depth we get on it. Believe it or not, vanillas, y'all do negotiating too. Y'all vet just like us, except we go a little bit deeper. That's it. Okay? Because, hey, for us, can this person throw a whip? I want to see them throw a whip. For vanillas, okay, hey, this guy talks about he says he's a nice guy. Well, how is he a nice guy? Let me check his Facebook.
Oh, yeah, because that's going to show me so much about him.
So much.
So much.
But you're using a third-party source to make sure that the person that you're talking to or trying to probably start a relationship with is credible. You're trying to use multiple sources to make sure this person is exactly who they are. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. If a guy turns around and says that he's a head doctor or the chief of medicine at Johns Hopkins is a hospital or university?
Hospital.
Hospital? Okay, Johns Hopkins Hospital. See? Look, verified. Is it? I don't know. Anyway, John Hopkins, they're saying that the chief of medicine, the head doctor over there, it kind of sounds pretty heavy. Makes you kind of want to go, is this guy really the real deal? And you might bet you'll probably try and figure that out. Okay, is this the guy the real deal? Well, I'm going to look. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't anything wrong with that. So if you teach this to college students especially about the importance that we do in BDSM, especially with regards to the communication, properly identifying what consent is, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Now, here's where I don't agree. Sadly enough, in BDSM, a lot of people take that as a huge no-no in life. There's a lot of religious people that definitely condemn the practice of BDSM. There's a lot of conservative people that wholeheartedly believe that you never lay a hand on a woman. Well, I hate to tell you all this, but there are circumstances where it's needed and or okay. All right? Such as those who have engaged in intercourse, sex, coitus. If those of you who understand that, you know that there are some things that you do with another individual that require you putting your hands on an individual. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about beating the hell out of somebody, okay, in sex. Now, mind you, yes, there are people who do love Klingon sex. I get that. However, if you're having intercourse with a person and they decide to take things a little above and beyond and you're not ready for that or you didn't need consent to that, then yes, there are measures that you need to take in order to protect yourself. Okay, we get that. But you're going to start stepping on toes of other people that are going to sit back and go, this is wrong. This is wrong. What we don't like to do is push those beliefs on other people. Where we don't believe that we're pushing those beliefs on other people, that all we're trying to do is teach them the basics and foundations of any kind of relationship that should have, like consent and communication and understanding and all that. You're going to end up pissing off a lot of people. And that's what we don't want to happen. We don't want all of a sudden people turning around going, wait, in college, I learned that BDSM's like this. Oh, so you know what? If I just tell my girl that I'm a little bit kinky, I can slap her in the face, no problem then.
No, it's not exactly how it goes.
No. It's college.
Yeah.
Raging raging hormones. Because now it's a little different. There's people who are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. At that point, people are of legal age. So now they're really going to start thinking, whoa, you're 19, I'm 20. What's wrong with this? You have to go deeper. A lot deeper. Especially if you're going to get BDSM involved into this. Because there are risks that most of them are not going to understand.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree on the fact that I think they... Where are you going?
I'm fixing myself.
I think that they should go over just the basics of BDSM. And one of my favorite quotes that I actually found in here was, a sex education program with information about BDSM would help people understand what's consensual and what's not. And honestly, I think that as far as like to put it in a sex ed program, I think that would be extremely helpful and extremely intelligent. Because then they would be teaching people that yes means yes and no means no. And there's this consent line that you have to talk about. Because consent can be withdrawn completely depending on what you were doing. And it can be drawn at any time, at any moment by either the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter. If there's even one thing that is wrong, if your toe is cramping, if your leg is cramping, if the position that you're in is not comfortable, you can completely say red and stop it no matter what. And that's what I think they need to more focus on rather than the actual, like, oh, well, this is how you use this, or this is how you can, like, throw whips, or play with floggers. I don't think they should actually go into, like, details of, like, the toys themselves, but rather the whole concept behind BDSM, which I think most people seem to not understand because they think that we're crazy, and, like, he likes to hit me, and so I'm just gonna let him beat me up. And no, that's completely not how it goes at all. Before anyone ever touches a hand on me or him or anybody else, you need to sit down with that person and be like, hey, I like hitting. This is where I like it. I like biting. This is where I like it. And this is where I don't like it. And these are the things that trigger me. And to basically causing me to have a panic attack. And everybody has them. I have my own personal ones. He has his own personal ones. Everybody we know has their own personal triggers, which will trigger them into a different state of mind and completely ruin the whole night for them. So that is the whole point of the general thing in BDSM is completely about communication and trust and consent.
My biggest thing is where now I like it, but here's my biggest problem. Like I said, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're just going to sit back and go, well, I learned this, so I'm good to go now to do all the crazy nonsense. Yeah. It's not that simple.
It's not that simple, but that's why I think they should focus on, like, the consent and the communication and everything that is surrounded by that concept.
And that's good. And quite honestly, if you keep it that simple and talk about, maybe title it something as consent in sex through the eyes of a kinkster, or through the perspective of someone in BDSM.
In the BDSM community, yeah.
Then I get it. Then I can turn around and understand that you're focusing it on that specific subject, which I'm pretty sure that's where you guys were trying to go in the article, and I thank y'all for that. But at the same time, know what you guys are probably going to get into. Like, you're definitely going to sit back and have people, and I can see this, where they're going to sit back going, you guys are promoting violence and promoting, I hate to say this, but you're promoting misogynistic or misandristic perspectives on people, and you're basically forcing an ideology on people, which we all know that's not what you're trying to do. Just expect that to happen. Now, this is not for us to sit back and say, don't do it, bad idea. We're just trying to say, hey, be mindful of what can come. We've taught several classes about BDSM, okay? I was fortunate enough at the layer to actually be taught by a lot of interesting people. The layer is basically in San Antonio, Texas. If anybody ever gets a chance, please go over there. It's where I received a lot of my information, okay? It's actually where we met. it's where I taught a lot of my basics, and quite honestly, it wasn't so much of, all right, I'm gonna show you how to be a kinky motherfucker.
And there is some people out there that are like that, which is, again, earlier in the video we said why you need to have people who are vetted. You need to do your research on this stuff. I've personally been in the lifestyle for about 6, almost 7-ish years, and before I ever even touched anything, I completely learned about the whole spectrum of BDSM. I learned from the top's point of view, from the bottom's point of view. Never do something to somebody else unless you've experienced it yourself.
It's funny that she says that, because in the vanilla world, the way you guys normally phrase it as do unto others as you want them to do to you.
Yeah. Same thing, different words.
That's it.
It really is. I mean, you're not going to let someone punch you in the face unless you actually know what you're getting into. Such
as mixed martial arts or martial arts in general. You guys take the risk.
And there is a risk involved, and again, that's why you need to sit down with your partner and discuss completely every last little detail that goes into whatever y'all are planning to do.
And quite honestly, I hope you guys, really stress it to that, because I'd feel bad if all of a sudden you guys, start off with a great idea, and then all of a sudden it kind of like barrel rolls into something very bad. Now,
there's sometimes that it does happen. I mean, good ideas can go bad ideas can be good. It all just depends on what your headspace is, when it is happening, where it is happening. There's so many different factors that can either ruin or excite the night that you're going to have.
Now, there's one thing I did want to mention, and she actually did it earlier. It's all about the triggers. And this is something you also have to watch out for, because there are people who were in the lifestyle, that had some bad experiences. And when you start mixing BDSM into such thing as consent and whatnot, you can trigger them into remembering an episode that they just went through. Now,
or something that happened with a previous person they were with.
Yes. Now, my biggest thing is, when you talk about triggers, I'm not talking about going, I stepped on a scale and now I'm triggered. No, I'm not talking about stuff like that. And no, I am not sitting back. So people understand this, I'm not fucking talking about, and I'm not demeaning the word trigger. I'm not saying that if you step on a scale and you have a triggered moment, that it's completely invalid. Not saying that. The triggers that I'm trying to get at is there are people who have experienced things in the past that might set them off into a different mental state that can mess with people. Such as vets who've been through combat, who've been through things that all of a sudden a certain sound, a certain action, a certain movement might cause them to relapse or cause them to remember an episode during those times that might have an adverse effect on them, such as gunshots. When a car backfires, that can cause somebody who's been through all that to all of a sudden pop into an episode where now they think they're under attack again. They're in a combat situation all over again. That's what we're talking about. Now, how does that relate into the kink world? Well, if anybody's ever messed with a whip before, a whip breaks the sound barrier. And by the way, all of my knowledge I learned on this is by Ritz Cracker. If you guys get a chance, please learn. Please go to him. 770 miles per hour it takes for one little feather off of the cracker of a whip, basically the end feathery portion of the whip. Each one breaks the sound barrier and causes a loud bang. How does this correlate? Well, if I'm doing a scene and it's in a public area, and yes, I do scenes in the public, because not only do I want to make sure that people know that, yes, I know what the hell I'm doing, I like to demonstrate it so that way I'm not just talking out my ass. But when I'm doing that, I also like to ask around, like, hey, look, does anybody have a problem with the sound of a whip? Because it does cause a loud crack. In the kink community, there are vets out there who've been through that stuff. I personally know a few of them that I will not crack my whip around them. My kink is whips, but I don't